I'm a physical therapist, and I'm a certified athletic trainer and a strength and conditioning coach. I've been involved in sports medicine as a student athletic trainer dating back to when I was in high school. So I've been involved in this field for over 40 years.
Welcome back to the Banners broadcast. Enough of me, let's talk to our guest today. And our guest is on the house since we have no sponsors yet. He is the host of the Garden Report and one of the people you read regularly over at CelticsBlog.com. He is Jared Weiss, coming to us from his house. How's it going?
It's good. It's good to be actually in my own house with working Wi-Fi for a change.
Yeah, it's very smooth. Nice, crisp image of you on my screen right here. Speaking of this current team, this is what I really want to get to with you today because I think you'll have some interesting insight on it. The training staff overhaul has been substantial. We see Ed Lacerte go out the door after 30 years. We see the strength and conditioning coach, remind me of his name.
Brian Dew.
Brian Dew.
Or B-Dew, as it's known.
After a long period of time with this team. And just to be fair, we also have to include the legendary massage therapist Vlad Shulman as well. So it's incredible. Like, this is a legendary group, a highly respected training staff around the league. Jay Crowder had an Instagram post. He seemed to be upset about these guys leaving. And it just seemed to shock everybody who's been around the team for years and years and who have known these people going back decades. And you'd watch these national broadcasts and you'd see these commentators send these guys praises whenever there's an injury. And then just like this, they're gone. I don't know how much reporting you've done on this. I don't know how much insight you have on these guys or what the plan is in general. But what's going on here?
Well, first we'll talk about the people that left. I've known Ed and B-Dew for a long time. I think I'd met them even before I started covering the team. They have always been just amazing to talk to. I actually flew back with Ed from Vegas, where he slept the entire flight. Luckily for him, I couldn't sleep at all. It was my body clock was totally destroyed, and I didn't get the impression that this had happened at that point. And I think it came out a couple days later, maybe half a week later or so. So he certainly didn't seem like anything was happening at that point. And B-Dew, same thing. I've talked to B-Dew so many times over the years. He's given me so much guidance and kind of insight into how things work for them. Kind of helped me steer clear of making any mistakes from a medical or training perspective as well. Same thing with Ed. I mean, these guys have always been great. I think it's important to note that they're great and they're absolutely beloved by the players and by the team. Everybody loves them. They've always been great at their job as far as you can tell. But of all the things that we can get insight into, I think the work that is done on a medical side is the thing that you get the least insight into from the outside, because that's stuff that they're generally trying to protect. People are generally not really talking about medical stuff. So it's hard to judge from the outside exactly whether or not they're doing a good job or not. And I'll use the classic Brad Stevens, I'm not a doctor, to say that I'm not going to pass judgment on the medical or training performance on those guys. Yeah. The fact is they've had I would say a relatively inordinate amount of kind of minor arthroscopic injuries over the years. A lot of guys dealing with strains and stuff like that. Stuff that seems like it could build up over time. I mean, the Isaiah Thomas hip tear thing obviously it's kind of surprising that they weren't really ahead of the ball on that. I guess pun intended. And I mean, you definitely can't blame the strength and conditioning coach or the athletic trainer for that. But
especially it seemed like Thomas wanted to play on it.
Yeah, well, the players are always. It's very rare that a player isn't going to try to play through an injury. You have to tell them. You have to force them. You have to take their sneakers away from them. But so I think that was maybe part of the motivation for wanting to clean house, was that they've had these issues and they just want to bring in new staff to try to maybe figure. I'm sure they have a pretty decent understanding of what the issue is. They still have the same team physician, Brian McKeon, who's been their team physician for a long time. As far as I know, I haven't heard anything about that changing. But so I think the main reason why these guys are gone. I mean, Bidu was offered a different role. I don't believe Ed was offered a different role, and I'm not sure about Vlad. Bidu was apparently offered a different role. He decided to turn it down because, frankly, he works like crazy. He has a very successful private training company that works with a lot of really successful people. So he has plenty to fall back on there. I'm sure Ed will be a professor at BU by this semester or something like that. I'm sure he'll get another gig.
Plug for your alma mater.
He went to my alma mater. And now the new director of performance, Art Horn, also went to BU. So if you want to go far, go to BU. But so
as you show.
But so I like that we're both wearing red too. That worked out well. This is a Run the Jewel shirt, not a BU shirt.
Nice.
But so basically they have the partnership with GE, which they're going to be basically investing a lot more in sports science. They've been kind of behind the ball as far as having like a full sports science department. So they're trying to play a little bit of catch up there.
Yeah.
And I guess they decided if they're going to do a full sports science department, then they want to bring in people that have experience running these departments. And Art Horn, who has been with the Hawks for the last 2 years, was at Northeastern before, was kind of renowned for having a connection between like the evaluative side and the strength training side and all that, where those are always two different silos within the strength within the training program at a team, and he was known for being on top of those and kind of blending the two together. So that's what they're going for here with their GE partnership. They're going to have a lot more technological capability. There's all sorts of stuff that I have gotten a little bit of a glimpse into, but not enough to really talk about publicly. But a lot of stuff that seems pretty fascinating for what they're going to be able to do. I assume everybody's getting a full MRI every single week to make sure that there's no potential hip tears, stuff like that. All sorts of pretty cool stuff that they're trying to work out. That's what this whole thing
kind of struck me as, is this so much new technology out there, so many new devices and stuff, for you to be keeping track of every single movement on the court, every single nick and tear and injury, pretty much anything you can imagine. And it does seem like you want some newer age people to be in there who have first-hand experience using these new technological capabilities, who pretty much have come up using these through their careers. So it's just interesting that now, this time, in this position that they're in as a team, is the time to do it. What struck me more than anything is it just seemed like, why now? Like, it's just out of nowhere, and maybe it's just deciding to go do it now. There's no significance to the timing, but it definitely blew a lot of people away, I feel like.
I think a big part of it is the GE partnership. Was that with the GE partnership, they're going to have basically sports science support. So this offseason was going to be the time where they were going to make some changes.
There we go.
And I don't know if the Isaiah injury motivated them to be more proactive, but I'm sure it had I'm sure it gave them some sort of push towards, we need to really bolster up on sports science. In the news, I'll just say this real quickly, in the new CBA, they formed something I have been excited for a long time, was a wearables committee, where they have a committee of doctors and teams and technological experts that are basically creating a short list of bio wearable devices, whatever the hell it's supposed to be called, but biotech devices that players are going to be wearing in games now, where they're going to be able to get all sorts of physical data on physical intensity, movement, stuff like that, with the goal of basically limiting injuries. So this is going to be the first year where they're going to actually be able to put wearables on while they're on the court, which is going to be pretty exciting. Because a lot of teams have been practicing with different devices, stuff like that. There's I think it's Whoop is one of them, which I think is actually Boston based, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a few other different devices. I don't think players are going to be running around wearing Apple Watches or Fitbits or stuff like that, but they're going to have stuff put, kind of sewn into their jersey, in their shoes, stuff like that. Very small devices, which you probably won't see. Right now, the one that's been really common is one that's placed on the back of their jersey between it's right above their name, I think, has a little green light on it, so sometimes you'll see it on the back of players during practice. And that's one of those kind of devices. But they're going to become used more frequently. We're probably going to get... The idea basically is to avoid stress injuries that build up like the one that Isaiah had. Yeah. Is to try to basically detect when players are running weird, stuff like that, and basically stop an ACL tear or a labrum tear from happening before it even happens.